DC now why I said I didn't want to go after Sean. If you haven't garnered from just going back and forth here, Sean and I work about a mile away from Harrison neighborhood and sit on their housing committee, and so we've got a great partnership, I think, in the works. So,
this is kind of great.
Yeah. My name is Staci Horwitz, and I'm with the City of Lakes Community Land Trust. I have been with the Land Trust for 9 years. I joke it's not a joke, it's the longest job I've ever held. But I got to tell you, my parents are incredibly thankful for that. I'm kind of hooked on you, Sean. Yeah.
Hooked on me?
Yeah, I'm hooked on you. So I come to affordable housing, and I'll do a 30-second primer on Land Trust in just a minute, but just to give you a sense of my journey to affordable housing has come through your normal process of pharmaceutical sales, technology, youth development, and more technology, which is where I was before I started at the Land Trust. But how many in the room know what a land trust is? Okay. So are you guys okay for like a 30-second, 1-minute primer on community land trust? Our goal is affordable home ownership, and we focus on serving low to moderate income individuals and families. Our particular land trust is focused in Minneapolis, but there are 8 now, I believe, throughout the state. There's over 240 across the country, and it's now a worldwide tool that's used to foster affordable home ownership. And the way the community land trust model works is that we help people purchase a home at below what the market is asking for. And that is through an affordability investment into the home that is meant to stay with the home in perpetuity. So once a home is in the land trust, it's meant to stay in the land trust for as far out as any of us could probably even think about or imagine. The agreement that our homeowners sign with us is for 99 years. And it's renewable with each resale. So we are very serious when we say that once you bring a home into the land trust, it is going to stay into the land trust. What happens at time of resale is that the home has to go to another income qualified household. So 80% or less area median income. The original investment that we place in the home stays with that home. And if there's any change in the appraised market value in our particular land trust, it's 25% of any change in the appraised market value stays with the homeowner. 75% stays with the property. It's what allows us to continue to keep the home at an affordable level versus going back up to a market rate home. So the second piece is that once a home is in the land trust, it is not meant to go back up to a market rate home in the future. Okay? So in relation to what we're talking about tonight, the questions were kind of interesting because it was about the neighborhoods and how you determine. And since we serve all of Minneapolis, we actually deal with all 83 neighborhoods, I think it is. I think it's right around 83 neighborhoods.
There might be one without an association.
Yeah, okay. Somewhere 82, 83. And my colleague, who's the director, actually had touched base when we started 13 years ago with all 80-some neighborhoods and introduced the land trust. And we had the opportunity to revisit those conversations about a year ago. And it was pretty interesting to just give them an update, but to actually reach out to all 80-some neighborhoods and either request a letter of support or to have a conversation or bring them up to date, it just really created some incredible opportunity to continue to foster those relationships. But as we look at, as I thought about the questions in relation to organizationally and as an organization that works across multiple neighborhoods, I really thought about the responsibility that we have organizationally to make sure our policies, our practices, our actions, all of those pieces really create opportunity for equitable change. And it's not just at the staff level, but creating a culture within the whole organization, that board, everyone really buys into how we approach our work is through that equitable change framework. And that takes a lot of work. In our land trust and in most of your traditional land trusts, the board has at least 30% of their board members being homeowners or the people who are served by the programs. So we have the piece built into the policies and the bylaws that the homeowners are actually helping to govern the organization at the board level. And then within our organization, we have access points in multiple committees that homeowners can be involved in. There's actually a homeowners committee that does a lot of the policy development and policy decisions. In particular, when buyers are coming through or homeowners want a waiver from an existing policy, it's the homeowners committee that makes that decision as to whether or not that waiver is granted. So you see this governance all the way through for the constituents that are being served by our organization. Just touch on a couple other things. We talked about examples within the neighborhood change that's been steered by our organization. I don't know how much we can claim as actually affecting the neighborhood, but it's our core function is what I really thought of when I thought of that question. I mean, our goal is to create affordable home ownership. The other thing about a community land trust is that we're owner occupied. There was a comment that was made at the beginning in kind of the just initial table session that one of the concerns is absentee landlords. You get these homes, you rent them out, all of a sudden you have someone who's not connected with the neighborhood anymore. And so when you have an owner-occupied ownership program, that creates a connection to the community that you don't necessarily see with some other models and some other tools that we use in our neighborhoods. The other thing is that when you think about how this is set up, I've been challenged a lot when I make this next statement, but I've done a lot of different community work, and I see that we put a lot of Band-Aids on what is happening in our communities. We don't address a lot of true issues. We don't really truly come up with solutions. We just make everybody feel better for a little bit in the status quo. And when I started in the land trust, what really struck me was that I really truly believe that this is a solution to one of our community issues, and that's affordable ownership and a different tool for affordable housing. And part of the reason I say that is that you create an opportunity for many individuals and families that would not have an opportunity otherwise for ownership. Our average AMI in our household is 47% area median income. And our average house size is 3 bedrooms, 2 bath. So when you think about the area median income level and the household size and just the opportunity for ownership, you have individual households that are benefiting, but then you have this owner occupancy that often contributes to community stabilization because people are taking root in their community. The other piece is that we use public funds. Katie talked about subsidized and that minimizing that subsidy that goes into the house. But the argument we have is that, yeah, we might be a little bit more expensive on the front end. So say it takes $60,000 to help us help someone buy a house. But guess what? That $60,000 is going to help the next family. So now we have $30,000 per household. By the time we get to the second resale, we now have $20,000 per household that's been invested into this home. We don't go back to funders and ask them to reinvest in the homes. We ask our homeowners to help us help the next family or individual. So when you look at a solution for a community, you want to see who all benefits. We benefit organizationally, we benefit individually, we benefit from a community, we benefit from a public funding standpoint. So that's why I feel I can sit up here and say that this is really a true solution to one of our community challenges. The other piece that, an example that I think about is the fact that we talk about being homeowner-centric. So when you talk to a lot of housing developers, a lot of community developers, it's about the physical structures. I created the 100 housing units. You know, that's my beautiful building down the street. We did this over here. The buildings are great, and the homeownership piece is great, but nothing compares to the people who are in our homes and the families and the individuals. And having been someone who did youth development work, to be able to see just the impact on children, and we have over 280 some children in the homes. We have about 200 homes. We're just shy, we're close. We need 2 more closings by the end of the year, which are scheduled to happen, and we'll have 200 homeowners. But just to see the fact that it is about people. And if we are serious about equitable change, we can do all these other pieces, but they're tools. It's nothing compared to building and creating access and opportunity for people to pursue what they are passionate about and what matters to them. And so the housing is really just a tool for us to get connected to some really incredible people in our community. And the homeowner-centric approach is really about connecting people to us as the organization, for us to connect homeowners to one another, and probably most importantly to connect them more strongly to their community. So if they have something they are passionate about, we have an opportunity fund that says, you know what, we'll give up to a $500 grant for you to pursue education, for you to pursue a business, or to do something that betters your community. And that's available to our homeowners to apply. And it's just one tool to say that we support what you're passionate about. It doesn't have to be about housing. If you're passionate about education and you want to do something that fosters conversation in the community, we're supportive of that. That's a little different focus than just whether or not you did your roof repair and whether or not you're keeping your yard up. That's not our concern. As I always say, we got 3.75 people in our organization. City's going to get you a heck of a lot faster than any one of us ever can. I'm just going to touch on a couple more points, and then we'll turn it over to the table conversations. The neighborhood connections, I think, here's a great example. We talk about transit-oriented development. We're really trying to figure out our role. I mean, how we can use this tool to be a tool for positive change in the community, equitable change in the community. And just east of our building, there's townhomes, 4 townhomes that went into foreclosure 2 years ago, just shortly before we moved into our new building. And approached the neighborhood, said, you know, these are now up. Land Bank has contacted us. What do you guys think? And we're like, well, we're not sure what we want to do. Kind of went back and forth, and we're like, okay, well, neighborhood's not sure, so maybe we shouldn't buy them. And we're like, but if we buy them, then we know who has site control. And you're talking 5 blocks away from the proposed Blue Line and bus rapid transit. So at the end of the day, it's like we need time to have that conversation with the community. And we can do that by buying them and doing interim rental in the meantime. And so we've bought those townhomes because it buys us the opportunity as an organization and a community to figure out what we really do want there and what best serves the community. So that's one example of partnership and reaching out from that perspective. The other thing is workshops. We did a land stewardship workshop trying to kind of challenge the conversation about what does it mean to do land stewardship, especially around TOD, transit-oriented development, because if you own that land, you have a lot of say. And if we don't own that land, we don't have a lot of say. And the land trust is just kind of a natural tool to figure out how do we get some of that ownership and be able to do that. And then just a couple of initiatives real quick. We have a buyer-initiated program. And the only reason I bring that up is because about 70% of our homes have come through the buyer-initiated program. That gives people the opportunity to go out and choose their home. So we aren't saying, here's the 5 homes you can have through the land trust. Here's your purchasing power. You go tell me which home you want in the land trust, and if it meets our basic criteria and we don't think you're going to spend all your money and time trying to keep this home up and in rehab, we accept the home into the program. The interesting thing about that is when given the choice, people move within 2 to 3 miles of their current location. And that was something that really struck me when I started looking at people moving even closer within a mile, because they wanted to stay in the community where they had the networks, they had the relationships, their children had gone to school, their parents. I mean, I have people who are living 5 blocks from people they've known for 15 years because the opportunity was created for them to buy in that neighborhood when it wouldn't have been an opportunity otherwise. And then one advocacy example I just wanted to share was most recently, if you've been reading some of the news about the Affordable Housing Trust Fund in the city of Minneapolis, they are looking to actually fund at a level that they've been supposed to be funding for a long time. And this was just one example that my colleague actually really saw great inspiration. He's been there 13 years. And there was a hearing last week, and we reached out to our homeowners and said, if you have a moment, would you either come down and testify, or would you at least write your council member and the mayor an email or give them a quick phone call? And we had 5 homeowners that testified that night, and 20-some that actually emailed the council members. And it was about telling their story. So you talk about having to be the frontline person always telling the story, but if you create those access points that just says, here's an email, you all know this, but when you see people actually take that and step up and do it, it's a pretty amazing experience. And a lot of times it's just about creating that access point. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. And with that, I'll close.